What? What are we talking about today? Billionaires? Billionaires? The internet's gone crazy again about billionaires? Oh, give me a break. Just run the theme. Welcome to my corner of the internet. Welcome to the carnival. I am Uncle Flippy, and these are my thoughts. The Carnival of Thoughts is back. Yes, after 4.5 years, I brought it back. New format, new ideas. Before I was trying to do evergreen content. I don't know if it really hit or not. Now, we're going to be a little more topical, going to be a little more unhinged. I think overall it's going to work out really well. Anyway, it's good to be back. Good to be talking to the internet again. Hopefully we can sort some stuff out, make things a little bit better, or at least I can make you think as we move through a bunch of different stuff. A little more conversational, almost like a podcast, maybe, maybe not. There is no podcast version of it. Don't have the tech right now to do that, but I got the cameras. Even using a better camera than last time. Got better lights, whole 9 yards. Things are good. Hot though in Ontario, so hot. Oh, hot in a lot of places. Oh, just gross. Do you guys like it when it's hot? Hit me up in the comments, let me know. I find it a little too hot for my pasty body, but some people might like it. Anyway. I hope you're all doing well. I really do. I hope the last 4.5 years since I last put out an episode, this is episode 1 of season 2. I hope you're... Hope life is good. I got to tell you this. Family got a little bit bigger. Up to 2 kids now. 2 kids is pretty amazing. It's better than 1 kid. I'd say that. Absolutely. Better than 1 kid. 2 kids. My wife is still the most amazing human on the face of the earth. I think we make a pretty good team. I don't know if we're perfect or not. Yeah. So the internet's going crazy about billionaires. So let's get into the big idea. Big idea is brought to you by... Right. We haven't done one of these in 4.5 years. We don't have a sponsor for the big idea. We're going to talk about the big idea, though. Billionaires. There is a faction on the internet that says all billionaires are evil. I'm not saying all billionaires are good, but I'm not saying being a billionaire categorically makes you evil. And here's why. Well, there's a bunch of reasons why. And they're even going after Taylor Swift. And now Taylor Swift is in a unique situation. How she became a billionaire is different than most, I will say that. And I also want to say, I am not a Swiftie. I know one Taylor Swift song. If you gotta shake it off, that pops into my head. She's not my jam, but that doesn't mean she should be vilified for being successful. Like, really successful. Ultra successful. And I think this is coming up because shooting this on the day that she gets married to Travis Kelce. I do enjoy his podcast with his brother. If you get a chance, New Heights podcast, I'd listen to it. I recommend it. It's pretty darn good. Anyway. Yes. Billionaires have a lot of money. But they probably don't have $1 billion in money. They have $1 billion in assets. And assets is different than money. Some assets you can quickly sell. Some are slow to sell. Some assets just happen to gain value, some don't. But everyone says, well, if you're a billionaire, you had to exploit people because nobody should be worth that many dollars per hour. Number one, if all you can think of to make money is how much money you can make per hour, what your hour of time is worth, you don't have to worry. You're never going to be a billionaire. I'm probably never going to be a billionaire either. Let's be honest. I'm talking to the internet in a cowboy hat and aviator sunglasses. I fly light airplanes. That's not the road to, billionairehood. However, if you're thinking they're making too much per hour, let's just step back a little bit. It's not about how much money per hour you're making. Oh, now you're going to get me in the comments. Come on down into the comments. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm listening. No. What it is can you solve a problem? Can you solve a problem to make somebody's life easier, cheaper, faster, more convenient, smoother, whatever the case may be? Can you repeat that over and over and over and over and over again? That's what makes you a billionaire. You're either selling a little bit to a whole lot of people, or a very high price item to some people. There are a few companies, Apple being one of them, that seems to be able to sell high price items to a lot of people, but they're the unicorn, they're the exception, they're rare. Most of the time, billionaires are made because they solve a problem for everybody that's repeatable over and over and over and over and over again. The Walton family that owns Walmart. Yeah, they're worth billions of dollars. They've been doing it for a long time, though, too. And you got to remember, at the end of the year, your assets don't disappear. So you make more money next year. It may just build on the money you have this year. And they weren't instant billionaires either. But what do? They provide low price shopping to families. And a lot of families need that. And you're saying, oh, well, they exploit their workers. Let's look at the numbers a little bit. So if you go into Walmart's annual report, they actually list out in their annual report how much money per employee they make. And most years it's somewhere over $4,000, somewhere around $5,000, always less than $6,000. I looked at a bunch. They never hit $6,000. They just don't. That's too much money for them to make. They can't do it. So what does that mean? So for every person that's employed by Walmart worldwide, that's a lot of people, they make about $6,000 in profit. Okay. How much did they pay this person? Well, $17 an hour is minimum wage where I live here in Ontario. And if somebody works full time, let's just round it off to 2,000 hours. It's 2,080 hours. But 2,000 hours is easy because you just got to double the hourly wage. That's $34,000 that you have to pay that employee to make you $5,000 in profit. Not to mention all the other bills you have to pay. But the profit at the end of the day per employee is around $5,000. And the full-time guy making minimum wage is making $34,000. I don't think they're being exploited, because here's the thing. If you raise the average wage by $3 an hour, that would be $6,000 per employee, and that's more than they make per employee. Oh, you didn't think about that, did you? Because you just saw a big number and said they made millions and millions, or maybe a few $1 billion last year profit. They did it because they did the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's how billionaires make their money. And yeah, there are unethical billionaires. I don't disagree with you, but there are unethical people with $4 in their pocket. There are unethical people that make $100,000 a year. There are unethical fishermen. There are unethical everything. There's unethical people everywhere. I think they're in the minority. Can't prove it. Hard to know everybody. 7 billion people on the planet. Let's not talk about that right now, because that'll scare you a little bit, blow your mind. So all the people you know doesn't even add up to 1,000th of 1% of the planet. So the things you've seen is so microscopic. So yeah, there's unethical billionaires out there. 100%. But there's probably some ethical ones out there too. Take care of their people. They just figured out a way to do something over and over and over again and make $1 every time. It just happens that it's happening 6,000 times a minute, sort of thing. And they're making $1 every time across multiple countries around the world, all that kind of stuff. Because here's another thing about billionaires. People don't understand. Being a billionaire doesn't mean you have $1 billion in cash or liquid assets. It means you have a total value of $1 billion. So you might have a bunch of assets worth a lot of money. Hard assets, possibly, land, buildings, whatever you want that, just can't give away, can't give it to charity. Charity doesn't need a mine head. If you're in mining, you're a billionaire, probably own a mine head. Charity doesn't need an underground drilling machine. Charity doesn't need these things. So giving it to them is useless. But some people think billionaires should just be forced to give away their stuff. Wealth taxes don't work. They just don't. Not in 2026 when you can hop on an airplane. Capital migration's a real thing. So you want to collect some tax from them, you better make it favorable, because some tax from a billionaire is a lot of actual dollars, by the way. Because they tend to still be making money. Their money is making money for them. And you may have a problem with that, but let's just talk about that for a minute too. So there's two basic ways you can invest. You can either buy stocks or you can buy bonds. And most of you probably don't even know the difference. So I'll help you out a little bit. Stock is you're buying equity in the company. You're buying part of the company. They have made it available either through private means or public means to go out and buy part of the company. 1%, 0.5%, 10%, whatever it is. You now own a percentage of the company. So you are entitled, but through that ownership, to a percentage of the declared dividends. And if the whole thing grows in value, the whole company, and you choose to sell, your stock is worth more. Bonds, on the other hand, is you are buying up somebody's debt. Somebody said, I need money to do something. I don't want to give up part of my company. So I'm going to issue a bond, and I'm going to promise, which is basically a promise to pay back plus interest. And the interest is the incentive for me to loan my money. In both cases, stocks and bonds, people are going out and giving some of their excess money to somebody else to run a business of some nature. That's what it's about. That's what capital markets are about. It's moving the money to the people that can use it to create jobs, develop new products, make your life easier, all that kind of stuff. Like, let's be honest, all these people complaining on the internet about billionaires, they wouldn't be able to complain on the internet about billionaires because before Facebook, it was really hard to get your stuff on the internet. You had to be able to write code, basically. And now you're thinking, but Zuckerberg wasn't a billionaire. He needed help from Peter Thiel, who was the billionaire, who gave him the money to do the work to build Facebook into something that could make money, to remain viable, to pay for itself. You don't know all the stories sometimes. You're just angry that somebody has more than you. So let's talk about the real special case. Let's talk about Taylor Swift. I got into this a little bit earlier, but here's poor Taylor. I'm filming this on her wedding day. I don't know if you'll see it on her wedding day, but I'm filming this on her wedding day. Taylor Swift is a billionaire. Taylor Swift is a billionaire because she managed to buy her catalog of music, the rights to all her music, the publishing rights to all her music. Let me repeat that many times. She has the publishing rights to all her music. She has a writing credit on every song she's ever published. And apparently about 60 of them, she is the sole writer of the song. She now owns the publishing rights to all this music. But publishing rights is nothing except the value to it is just the present value of all the future cash flows generated by this. Now, she has worked very hard to make her music popular. There are millions of people that love her music. I told you before, I only know one song. I know Shake It Off. That's it. I only know one song, but lots of people love her music. They want to use her music in advertising. They want to listen to her music on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, all these streaming services. They want to use her music in TV shows, movies, whatever the case may be. She worked hard to make this music. She wrote it. She hired a band to help record it. She paid the members of the band to record it. She should recoup a little bit of money every time this music is used. You stream it on Spotify, I don't know, maybe she gets a penny or a couple pennies. But a lot of people stream Taylor Swift on Spotify. So all those future cash flows going out into the future until her music no longer has to be paid to use. Somebody's looked at it and said, I could probably get the equivalent of $900 million for that over all the time. Now, we won't get into time value of money. That's just another concept entirely. So basically, people are going to pay her $900 million over the life of this music to use the music. So the catalog is worth $900 million if she were to sell it, because somebody else would then get those payments. But it's not like she has $900 million sitting in the bank right now because she owns this. I don't know how much she has in the bank. I don't care how much she has in the bank. She's doing a bunch of charity work this week, giving money out because she's getting married. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, like, let's be honest. That's pretty cool. Yeah, she's a billionaire, but she didn't exploit people to become a billionaire. She wrote music, and then she performed it over and over and over again until it became popular, and people want to listen to that music. And now, her wealth is primarily tied up in a catalog of music that is going to draw in funds over the next 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years maybe. And people seem to think 900 billion of today's dollars will eventually trickle into her for this music. That's how she's a billionaire. You probably didn't understand that if you hate billionaires. But you don't understand capital markets if you hate billionaires. You don't understand risk if you hate billionaires. Because billionaires are the only ones who have enough money to take risk to make new products so we have new things. Because the first version is going to be expensive and probably fail. And the second version, fixing the first version, is going to be expensive and probably fail. But you got to have somebody that can afford to lose all of their investment. That's not me. I don't have that kind of money. If I bet on something, like if I bet on it is a bad word. If I buy into something, it has to hit. Because that's paying for my retirement. Whereas the guy who's got $1 billion or $2 billion or $10 billion or $50 billion or whatever, they can put $700 million into a project and it will not impact their comfort level. And if it doesn't work out, they walk away and it's like, oh, that was a bad idea. But I can still feed my family. I put $700 million, which I don't have. I put $10,000 into something right now. It better pay a return. Internet, there's lots of smart people out there, but there's a lot of dumb people out there too. And you just don't get it. That's the big idea. Okay. Now let's just talk a little bit about what's going on in the world a little bit more. FIFA World Cup, who's winning? Put it in the comments. I don't know. Things are kind of wide open. Germany lost. My wife lived in Germany for a couple of years. She was watching the game. She couldn't believe they lost. It is what it is. Losing in the round of 32. Still doing better than most countries, but you're in the round of 32. You know. There's about 100 countries in the world, and most of them have some kind of soccer or football program. So, put it in the comments. Who do you think's winning? And finally, El Nino weather. How bad is it going to be? Like, I went from below seasonal to way above seasonal here in Ontario. Is it going to be violent, back and forth all year? Out in Manitoba, there's flooding like they haven't seen in at least 50 years. The town I used to live in is underwater. What do you think of El Nino? Put it in the comments. Anyway, this has been the Carnival of Thoughts. I'm Uncle Flippy. If you have something to say, put it in the comments.